Hello, good evening, and a warm welcome to you. At long last, the time has come. We have returned. This is EXA, Season 9 for the X1 division. At your screen, you can currently see the calendar for the season for this particular tier. Of course, the calendar for the other tiers, X2 down to X5, is slightly different. So we're starting off the season here tonight in Austria. We've got 16 drivers in the lobby at the moment. Two of them will be joining during qualifying. Those are Damien Carril and Tico Hardy, which is, of course, a very familiar name along the esports names, so to say. And joining me tonight in the commentary box, if he's back already, is Joseph. And I believe he's actually
Yes,
back. So there you are. How are you doing?
I am indeed. I'm looking very much forward to this race around the Austrian Grand Prix circuit to kick us off for another huge season. We thought it couldn't get any better than Season 8. Then Season 9 rolled around, and a huge number of incredible drivers are taking to this circuit. Kamil Stachera, Florian Fanzelter, and Tycho Hardy. Just a few of the brand new names on this field. We've only got 18 tonight, as two of those three, Fanzelter and Stachera, are not around, but that still means that 18 incredible drivers will be taking to the Austrian Grand Prix circuit. We are just waiting for Simon Lukomski's internet to catch up, and then we'll be ready to get underway. Another season of EXA.
Yeah, definitely. And before we head to the grid, here's a quick overview of the lineup of this season. Quite an epic one, I can tell you. Not all of these drivers are present tonight, so I'll soon introduce you to the drivers that are driving here. There's 5 reserves in, 13 full-time drivers, so a total of 18 drivers will be competing tonight indeed. Starting off the season, I should say, in Austria, which of course is always a great track for racing. We saw it last weekend in real life as one as well. Some good battles going on for the lead in the first half, or the first quarter of the race, so to say. And we're actually gonna switch you over to the game right there. It is. For the moment I thought it wasn't working, but thankfully it does work there. Lap data, track map enabled, and the first driver out on track is Mike GR, one of the reserve drivers joining tonight in the Red Bull car. First out on track, very eager to go. Tony Hitala is joining in second at the moment in his RB, and several others making their way out of the pit lane right now. Joseph, any particular names we could pin for provisional pole position?
Well, of course, the few drivers that were fighting for the title last season are not here, so we have a very good opportunity for somebody new to stake their claim at the top of the table. I think it's hard to look past the likes of Tony Hitala, Thomas Lang, Thomas Laminen, Rice Imtiaz, and I think it's also even harder to look past Tycho Hardy, the hard work that he's done for Kick Sauber and for Rage Esports as well. I think he's going to be right up there, and I think he's going to be the one, as much as it's a boring answer, to take that pole position away.
Let's find out first, though. To try is, as I said, Mike GR as he comes onto the main straight and heads to turn number 1. Nice and early on the brakes and try to go into 5th or 4th gear, whichever you prefer. Then flat down onwards to a very long straight. Technically headed towards turn number 2 right here, which is this very shallow left-hander. Then braking hard, coming up to turn 3. Obviously purple in the first sector, 15.958. Beautiful golden helmet, by the way, Mike is carrying tonight. Let's see if he can make it golden as well in the qualifying and the race for his own sake, as it gets quite busy on track heading into turn 4 right here. Mike GR does. Let's find out how well he does in the second sector. A little bit wide coming out of the exit, had to take a lot of curb right there. He's been able to stabilize the car pretty well so far. Coming up then to the end of the second sector, 44.568. I've been reading the chat for the X1 division. I've seen people saying that higher mid 1 minute 2s should be a good time for a potential pole position. He's fighting the car a little bit though, Mike GR, as he comes through the final corner. Goes almost too wide, but he does come across the line with a valid lap, a 4.0, which is quite far away from the pole prediction right there. Next across the line is one of the Aston Martins, I believe they just started their hot lap, and that should then be Tony Hitala coming across the line. Then there's the lap time we've been talking about, a mid 1 minute 2 already, 2.690, which is really fast. Next across the line then Jensen Rosen, we've got a yellow flag for a car going slow, getting out of the way. He comes in with a 2.9 at the moment, and then there is Adam with a 4.3. So far so good then for the top 2, very rapid lap times.
incredibly rapid lap times. I mean, I thought we were going to be seeing a 2.6 towards the end of the session. Tony Hitala throwing it in at the very start. And I think he was one of those names that I wanted to mention for that pole position. And, well, it's just quite an incredible lap time there thrown in. And I don't think anybody will be able to match it. Jensen Rosen, though, going pretty close to it with the 102.9. And Simon Lekomsky, 102.8. He goes into second place. What can Mr. E do as he comes around the final corner in his Aston Martin as well? It's only going to be a 1 minute 4.161 as, well, there's more drivers just crossing the line to start their laps. Finn Geerts, one of them. And I hope, because he's Dutch, I've got that pronunciation right. Of course, you'd be able to tell me.
Absolutely brilliant. Couldn't have said it any better.
Yes.
You have been practicing, haven't you?
Well, I mean, last year's champion has helped us.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, not to mention, I heard you mentioning those Dutch names beautifully in the 24 Hours for Charity as well. So, yeah, well done to you. That's all I can say.
Appreciate it. Well, yeah, practice makes perfect. And that's exactly what these drivers are going to be hoping for as well. That's exactly what Finn Geerts is going to be hoping will help him here. He's a second off, though, Tony Hitala. So a lot of work to do. Thomas Lang up into fourth place with a 103.599. I think the only name that's going to have that Dutch inflection, as it were, is going to be Finn Geerts. And well,
Tycho technically as well. Tycho Hardy.
Oh yeah. Well, I've been saying Tycho, so I'll go with Tycho. Tycho?
Tycho, yeah. The CH is often pronounced as a G, a G as well. And since he's Dutch, it should be Tycho.
There's so many Dutch drivers on this grid, I don't know.
I know,
anymore.
right? There's a lot of them. Damien Carril is one of them, actually. He's getting very close to finishing his lap. Just ahead of him is Thomas Laminen, another name I know to be very quick, but he's invalidated his lap, so he's going to have to try again. So, switching our attention back to Damien Carril. Never mind, he's invalidated as well. Drifts out the final corner. He's going to have to try again. Then I believe it's Lucas... No, actually, no. He spun out in turn 9 and head straight back into pit entry. The first accident then in the X1 division of this season has happened by the Finn Lucas Putainen as he comes back into the pit lane straight away. There's some drivers who haven't exited the pit lane yet. Anton Chebotaurov is one of them, and Tycho Hardy is the other. And that means there's still quite a few drivers without a lap time. 17 in at the moment, 8 with a lap time. The others either invalidated or haven't come out of the pit lane yet. Let's see if the others are doing still quite fine. Thomas Laminen, of course, is coming back in. He's invalidated this attempt. Damien Carril, same story. And Gabor Xantos is actually on an outlap at the moment. He'll be starting his hot lap very soon. Tony Hitala has come back out for his second attempt. He's still fastest overall by quite the margin, I have to say. For an X1 division, the gap to from first to 8th is really, really big. It's almost 2 seconds, and that is huge on this track.
Yes, and well, with it being the shortest lap times on the calendar, I'm not surprised that it is a huge disparity. And well, we've got 11 minutes left in the session. I think with almost half the drivers not having set times, in fact, it is half the drivers not having set times. Larry Tilke won't be setting a lap time in this one. He is retired from the session and will start from the back of the grid. But if those drivers at the back are to not set a lap time, then he'll only be starting from P12. But Gabor Xantos is on a lap at the moment, and he set a 15.6 in that first sector. Race Imtiaz has retired from the session, and the Kick Sauber will not be setting a lap time in this one either. Gabor Xantos is heading through that second sector now, as I believe some of the drivers take the opportunity to go last to first. And, well, Adam, the last driver on this field, has just discovered the fact that it's no assists in X1. And I think he'll be having a lot of fun throughout this evening. Xantos now 2 more corners to go. And we shall see where he's able to go. He's, of course, a winner last season and up to the line. Well, that's almost a winner's lap. He's only, well, 2.5 tenths off Tony Hitala, and not that far off Simon Lekomsky in second.
Not bad at all. Several other top drivers are on their way at the moment, one of them being Tony Hitala himself. He's approaching a lot of traffic very rapidly, so let's hope he'll be able to clear those quite easily, and he does. The Williams and the McLaren both moving out of the way quite nicely indeed. Some others on their way as well. I believe one of the Williams cars is a little bit ahead, also on an outlap at the moment. And I believe Mr. E is actually one of those who will cross the line first. He's currently second slowest, but he's heading into the pit lane straight away. And no successful attempt for him then. Let's hope he doesn't hamper Tony Hietala. No, he doesn't. Yellow flag, invalidation then by Tony Hietala. Drifted a little bit too much off the white lines, and then the lap wouldn't count. Would have been slower anyway, 31 milliseconds slower than his previous attempt as it stands. So then, swapping our attention to another driver, Thomas Lang, but he's invalidated his attempt already. Coming out of turn 1 most likely. We see a yellow flag and Mercedes going very slow. That is Finn Geerts in the grass, pretty much half in the grass at the moment, trying to move out of the way of other cars. So, the other Mercedes has also invalidated the lap. There's a lot of drivers invalidating tonight, so I'm trying to find somebody who is on a proper lap. That is actually Lucas Putainen, who has been having already a little bit of an incident in this session so far, and now he's on his way to turn number 6. Let's see if he can keep it clean this time round. That is, of course, his fellow countryman Tony Hietala moving out of the way. And then only a few more corners to go. Keep in mind, this track only has 10 corners. One of the shortest tracks on the calendar. That means 36 racing laps will be coming up, whoa, very soon. Nearly lost control of the car again. I do not know what setup he's picked, but it looks like a very unstable and aggressive one. And he does go into P5, a 1 minute 3.093, which is about 4/10 of provisional pole position, as Jensen Rosen does improve quite a lot. Goes into the 1 minute 2s, a 1 minute 2.894, and just behind Szymon Lukomski. So it's starting to heat up at the front. Not sure if Joseph's actually still here. It's been a little quiet. There we are.
Listen, at the start of every season, I go and forget to turn my mic on at various different points. So yeah, that's my bad. But yeah, with the lap times coming down, nobody has been able to match Tony Hietala's time at the moment. And he's at the very top still with that 102.690 that he set at the very start of this session. Szymon Lukomski was improving in the first 2 sectors. In the third one, though, he felt as though he maybe made a mistake and so did not push on forward. Finn Geerts has found a lot of time. He's found 4/10 of a second in the first 2 sectors, and the Mercedes will now try and set a lap time of his own, as now around the final couple of corners he comes and up to the line for the Mercedes. What sort of lap time is this going to be? Is it an 02? No, it's an 02. It's an 03.241. It's a he slots his way into 7th place, but a number of drivers struggling, as you mentioned, with the track limits. Damien Curiel invalidating on another lap, and it seems to be the case that if you can set a valid lap, you'll be in an all right position, if not a great one.
Yeah, watching Adam right now trying to cope without a racing line. He's just come back in the pit lane. He has improved to 1 minute 4.2, which is still way off pole position, of course. Also, a big thank you for the raid from E-Walker. 6 extra viewers to add to the tally, which is always quite nice. Here on the first outing in Season 9. Watching Alexi Covero right now. Purple middle sector according to the game. Still hasn't set a lap time as of yet with only 6 minutes remaining. Things are starting to get quite pressurized for him. Comes around the final corner still within the white lines. Is going to be a 1 minute 3.1. Good enough for P7 right there. But there's still enough time for another run. It's starting to get a little bit overcast, I believe. Can't help but notice the lightning getting a bit darker around the track. I will not be expecting any rain for the qualifying session, but I cannot tell you what the weather is going to be for that race. So let's hope we'll be getting some insider information from somebody who's been guiding one of these drivers for some information on the weather. We might actually see some rain then, perhaps, as we can see Mr. E deciding to take the actual TT type of track over there, and the main straight. There's a big corner at the middle of the straight to slow down those motorbikes to make sure they do not crash by the end of turn 3, which has been happening quite frequently before that extra turn was introduced. Just a little side info for you there. Let's see, Joseph. As it stands, Tony Hietala is still the fastest. Nobody has been able to beat him yet. Tico Hardy has retired. He's going to try a last to first challenge as well. So with him out, is Tony Hietala the man to beat?
I think so, and well, Tico Hardy, Not deciding to set a lap time in this session is a very interesting call, but he's going to try and go from the back to the front like Race Imtiaz and Larry Tulki as well. And, well, Damien Curiel and Anton Jabotarov may well be doing exactly the same thing, although not necessarily due to their own decisions. And they've been struggling with the invalidations, Damien Curiel especially, a number of different laps and a number of different invalidations has seen him right down the bottom of the field. But we have a very, very good set of drivers on our hands here. Tony Hitala invalidated on this lap. He may well have been going for a double lap run, which means this was the first preparation run. The second run is where he's ready to get going and try to beat that 102.6.
Yes, indeed. I'm currently following Adam, who's, as I said, now trying, I hope, for his own sake, without a racing line, locks up into turn 3, showing he's struggling a little bit. Let's see if he can find some time. He managed to do it in his previous attempt. Whether that was without racing line or with, I do not know. But at least he's giving it a proper go. And maybe it actually helps him a little bit. Certainly wouldn't help me if I turned the racing line off. I would crash at every single corner available on the track. But that is just me being me. That's the reason why I commentate instead of race a lot. Adam then through the middle sector, almost a second slower, and he's already abandoned this hot lap, I believe. He's going very slow, and up behind him, I believe, is Finn Geerts coming up. Several other drivers are now coming out for their final attempts. I believe the first to do so is actually going to be one of the Red Bulls, or the only Red Bull. No, never mind. On an outlap at the moment. I'm trying to find the next driver on the hot lap. I believe it's actually Tony Hitala. Yes, it is. He's improving by a 10th through the middle sector and only 2 corners to go. And that means he might actually make it even more difficult for the others to try and beat him to the line as he comes across it right there. And he does improve by 1/10 and a millisecond to be exact into a 1 minute 2.589. Absolutely blistering lap time from the Finn. Not only do we have a lot of Dutch people, we also have a lot of Finnish drivers in the lobby tonight as well, as Thomas Lang is the next to cross the line. He improves by 3/10, goes up to 1 minute 3.295, which still is good enough for P9. Jensen Rosen, I believe, has just started his attempt. He is currently sitting in P3. It's going to get quite exciting indeed, with a final few to go. Is it still all to play for, or is Tony Hitala quite safe?
I think so, with that improvement that he's found, but the fact that he's been able to find that improvement means there is time in all of these laps, and as they come to the end of their sessions, they will have the opportunity to beat them. Simon Lukomski is going to come up to the end of the first sector. He is well, he is not the only one in the first sector now, but he is the one in that second place, and he's just come out of that first sector with an improvement. Damien Curiel and Anton Chbotarov looking for improvements, as well as Gabor Shontos has called it quits in this race session, and he will be starting from the highest of 4th place on the grid. Lukomski went a little bit wide there into the gravel, and well, it may well have just cost him a lot of time. We'll see as he comes up to the second sector split time, but no, he's gained just a little bit more, 0.062 seconds, and he has not long to go then until he rounds out this lap. And can he challenge Tony Hitala? No, he cannot. That's a huge slide off the track, and Simon Lukomski will not be challenging that lap time.
Anton Chbotarov across the line, finally managed to set a lap time. It's only good enough for P11. His teammate is up next, Finn Geerts. No, he decided to bail out. That is the end of the qualifying for him. And then next across the line, I believe, is Mr. E, currently last of the remaining qualifiers. 1 minute 4.161. What can he find in the final corner? Across the line he goes. Can he go into the 1 minute 3? Yes, he can. Does stay in P12 though. It's still a half a second away from Anton Chbotarov. Where is Mike? He is currently sitting in P13. As he actually goes straight on in turn 1, crashes into the wall for some reason. I'm not entirely sure what's happened there. He's retired. Thomas Laminen, still on his way, never mind, has also given up this one lap, stays in 4th, has beaten Gabor Xontos to the line. He's been a little bit quicker than him, starts from 4th position. And I've got no other words than to say this has been a little bit of an anticlimactic qualifying, with Tony Hitala easing away into pole position, 2.5 clear from the car in second place. We'll be having 3 drivers from the back who will be trying to do a last, or sort of last to first challenge in the names of Race Imtiaz, Tycho Hardy and Larry Tulki, starting from P17.
Yes, and well, with Tony Hitala starting from that pole position, he is a very, very good. He's in a very good position for this race day indeed. But yes, Tony Hitala taking that pole position away, and I've black screen, so I can't see the rest of the grid.
Oh dear. The game being the game again, isn't it? Just gotta love it.
Of course.
Anyway, yeah, Tony Kittel has confirmed pole position. Jensen Rosen then behind Simon Lukomski in P3. Thomas Lemon in P4. Gabriel Santos P5. Finn Geerts in 6th. Lucas Poutainen in P7. Alexi Cavero P8. Damien Carril P9. And then Thomas Lang in P10. I believe, if I've seen that correctly, ghosting was not on in the qualifying session. So that means we'll be going straight to the race without a restart. Some interesting rules to keep in mind. While the formation lap is on in X2 through X5, it is not on in X1. A safety car has been set to reduced. Of course, the red flags are not on. And as I already said, the qualifying ghosting was off. So that means the race will be going straight away. The weather, as it stands at the moment, is quite sunny. Not a cloud in the sky. So it might just have been as hot here as it was in the weekend in real life. Or here in the Netherlands over the past few days, where the temperatures soared over 35 degrees in my hometown. Absolutely madness. It's been cooling down, thankfully, since 4 o'clock this afternoon. So I should find some improvement in temperatures in my living room and bedroom in particular. Well, let's hope that will be a little bit better. But the battle will be heating up here on track, with very quick drivers starting from the back. Tony Hietala is going to try and defend his pole position. There is, I'd say, a lot to play for.
Yeah, there certainly is a lot to play for at this point in the season. Everybody is on 0 points, and so the opportunities are there for the drivers if they want to take them and get an early start to the season. Of course, with a lot of full-time drivers as well not around, then it is going to be a good opportunity for those who maybe don't have full-time seats to try and advertise themselves as well. Of course, Tony does have a full-time seat in that P1, and I believe the highest of those who don't have a full-time seat is Finn Geerts in P6. He could be trying to advertise himself pretty well, and that is a very good start to his campaign, that he's going to try and take away P6 to question mark challenge, and we're getting ready to get going soon.
Yes, of course, tire strategies. Somebody in the chat saying these guys will stand no chance against my strategies in tire management. Well, I seriously doubt that. I mean, I may have some tire management, but pace compared to these guys, I definitely do not have, which is the reason why I'm not in X1, but only in X4. Anyway, there we go. The lights are coming on right as I finish my own conversation. 4 lights, 5 lights, and the season is officially underway here in Austria as the lights go out right now. Quite a long hold there for the drivers, but Tony Hietala gets off the line quite well. Same for Simon Lukomski. He's going to try and attack in turn 1. No, he doesn't. But it is Thomas Laminen who tries to attack Gabriel Santos. It's actually Gabriel Santos who wanted to get past the Finn right there to head into P4. Didn't quite work. There's a lot of cars going side by side headed towards turn 4. You can see there in the background Lucas Poutainen trying to get the past the Hungarian as well. Successfully on the inside, and Gabriel Santos is defending from the outside. Retakes the position temporarily, but once again the McLaren is having the inside line. Some collision there, I believe I saw for a moment, but no wing damage, thankfully, just yet for these cars, as Gabriel Santos hangs on to P5, but just barely. Lucas Poutainen is all over him as we swap to tire information. We see 3 drivers who started on the hard tires, and the rest of them have all decided to go for the mediums. One of those hard tire users is Tigo Hardy, who started from, I believe, P15 or 16. Who's now hanging onto the back of Larry Toki, also started from the back up to 14th already. Ray Zintias has made up the most positions of the back markers so far, now up into P12. Then, end of lap 1, Tony Hietala leads from Simon Lukomski, Jensen Rosen in 3rd, Thomas Laminen in 4th, and then Lucas Poutainen in P5. And, Joseph is quiet again. Turn on your mic.
Well, no, the mic's on. It's just Discord is not having a great time right now.
Okay.
Discord's...
Yeah, he wanted to finish. I think he was trying to say Discord is crap, so to say. That's putting it mildly. Give me a ping once you're able to talk properly again, Joseph. But for now, though, position swapping is happening all over the place. Finn Geerts has been dropping back hard because he started on those hard tires. Of course, he's going to have to play the long game. which probably will not be an unfamiliar thing for him indeed, as I will lower the volume of the game a little bit for you guys, because I believe it was quite loud over our voices. It was quite loud for me, in fact, as well. He's now down to 11th. Race Imtiaz is now back up to P10. He's improving fast. Tycho Hardy's been struggling on those hard tires. He's going to have to wait until his tires turn on when the other tires start to turn off. Tony Hitala still cannot shake off Simon Lukomski and Jensen Rosen. There comes Damien Carril, I believe. Yep, but a good overtake there on Alexi Cavero. And Alexi Cavero and now Gabor Xontos fighting as well. Gabor Xontos had only been losing position since race start, so he's not having his ideal race so far. Now being hounded by Anton Chebutarov for P8. Dropping down the order bit by bit. We can see the top three breaking away a tiny bit from Thomas Lamminen downwards. A gap of 0.6 of a second at the moment between P3 and P4. So then, that's how it stands at the moment. Joseph, are you there? 1, 2, 3. I'm afraid that's a no at the moment. So we'll carry on as it stands. Alexi Cavero at the moment behind the Dutchman of Damien Carril, the Aston Martin right there, trying to get closer and closer. His teammate is only 3 positions ahead. There's both of them being Finnish. They will probably try to work together a little bit to get the team as many points as possible. At the moment, they're not fighting for the win, but they're not that far off either. Every driver, apart from Adam, is still within a second of one another. And that is, of course, great news for them all. Adam, of course, as I said, without a racing line there. He's struggling hard, already 6.2 seconds behind the rest of the field over the course of 4 laps, which is not great news. Some overtakes happening once again. Whoa, Damien Carril and Alexi Cavero come together a little bit, the first collision of the race so far. And I wouldn't say a big one, but that might have ended up a lot worse if it weren't for the fact that Alexi decided to move himself out of the way a little bit. But Damien Carril for now ahead of the Ferrari still. And I'm sure Alexi Cavero is going to try again later down the line. Joseph, test 1, 2, 3 again.
I hope it's working this time.
There it is, yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Beautiful. Well, I am back, and well, as it turns out, F1 cars can get a little bit annoying if you're slightly stressed about the fact that you are not in the session as Anton Chebutarov in P10 picks up the first pen of the evening. 3 seconds time penalties heading the SET driver's way as he tries to chase down Race Imtiaz and stay within the top 10. It's not a bad start so far from him as he chases down the cars ahead of him. He's dropping down a few positions at the start as well. He's down to 11th place, and well, it's not been a great start for a few of the drivers, in fact. Well, the top 4 have stayed exactly where they are, but Thomas Lang has dropped 4 positions. He had dropped 5th instead, and well, he's just trying to gain the position back up on Tycho Hardy, who makes his way through on Lang back again, and he stays trying to fight for up those positions. He's in P14 at the moment, and he's chasing down Mike for P13.
Indeed he is, as the tires are growing older. Tycho, Mike and Finn will be getting faster and faster. Of course, I feel like they're going to try and attempt a one-stop, but this game has been quite harsh on the tires for some drivers, or a lot of drivers I have to say, as Tycho Hardy passes another driver in the name of Mike to go up to P13. Mike having a poor exit therefore and allowing Thomas Lang to get very close, nearly into the gearbox of the Red Bull right there. It also has allowed Mr. E to get back within DRS range. He just lost it, but he'll be quite delighted to see he can still try and fight against some of the faster drivers ahead. But we also see some gaps starting to form. All of them are still within a second apart from 16th to 17th. But on the minimap especially, you can see some of the gaps are getting very big. This gap though is very small. Thomas Lamminen and Jensen Rosen fighting for the final podium place. Where's Lamminen gonna go? He had to go around the outside, but he wasn't successful yet. Can he make a switchback then in turn 4? No, he can't. Didn't have enough grip to try and get past the Williams right there. But he's gonna have another shot, I'm sure, later down the line. Of course, dirty air plays a lot of a bigger factor here in this game. You can get a lot of understeer, and I mean a lot of it, if you get a little too close in the high-speed corners. So they're gonna have to manage that quite well. Of course, tire temperature, engine temperature, all of those factors play quite a big role in this game too. As we can see Damien Carril go wide and likely pick up a penalty. Speaking of which, Anton Chebutarov picks up another one. Now has 6 seconds to his name as Mike GR goes for a 3-second time penalty as well. Of course, this track is notorious for those track limits, and that means we'll probably see a lot more of them.
Yes, as a lot of the drivers surely on their first or second warnings, and Thomas Lang making his third, and he has not had a good evening so far, dropping 5 positions from his starting place of P10, and also picking up that penalty as well. But yes, it's going to be a very interesting race as we head through it, and everybody's still within the DRS apart from Adam, who's struggled with no line, having to learn the track on the fly, which is a fair enough complaint. But he should have known that from day dot and from the start. The top 4 are the only drivers to stay in their starting position apart from Anton Chabotarov in P11. And well, they look pretty set at the moment as Lucas, the Veloce driver, 5th place, trying to close down on the cars in front. Damien Curiel in behind as well. They're just sensing an opportunity to potentially stay within range. But if Lucas goes anything like this pace, he won't be anywhere near, and something's happened to him in the last sector, which means that Curiel's gone past, Cavero's gone past, Xontos has gone past, and now Ray Imtiaz, and maybe even Finn Geerts as well, as they head into the first corner. There we go. There goes Finn. What's happened to Lucas?
I'm trying to figure it out. He's just, his throttle has stopped working or something. He's not, what's happened? I can't see a puncture.
Engine
that would have
failure.
been wild in lap 8. He's back on his way now.
Got to be an engine failure.
Yeah, probably maybe a throttle issue, steering wheel issue. I mean, engine failures aren't a thing in this game, are they?
Oh, they are now.
Well, that's a shame.
I don't know. He better
There's
not
some
try and
serious
retire on
issues.
track on purpose as well.
Yeah. That's a shame because he was doing quite well. We can see some other drivers harassing one another. Damien Correa and Ray Imtiaz, for example. Ray Imtiaz just passed the Dutchman a few corners ago and is now trying to chase down Gabor Xontos for P6. He's been doing a brilliant job from the back of the field. As you can see him there heading into the... Whoa! Literally spinning around nearly into the pit box, and some pit stops coming in quite early already. That is really early, actually, in my opinion. 3 drivers have decided to ditch the mediums already, and that means this race actually is going to be a 2-stop most likely. Unless somebody can pull off a bit of magic. Finn Geerts goes into the pit lane way too fast, picks up a 10-second time penalty. Oh, sorry, that's actually Adam. My apologies. Not sure why I saw Finn Geerts' name over there. Adam picks up a 10-second time penalty and retires. First retirement of the season and this race as well. Goes for the man who had to go no racing line here in X1. Wasn't successful and therefore bailed out. We can see a big fight here happening into turn 4 between Damien Correa and Tycho Hardy. Dutchman versus Dutchman. And Tycho Hardy gets past into P6 on those hard tires, which have now fully switched on. The chase is on for P5, which is just under 2 seconds away from him. Gabor Xontos is quite on his own at the moment. The top 4 still are well together. And let's see what they can do. A 2-stop, I think, is pretty much a confirmation right now. The question is the top 4 agreeing? Thomas Laminen definitely is. He's coming in as we speak for his first of 2 pit stops. And that means the race, in my opinion at least, gets a lot more interesting. We see Anton Chabotarov going for a pit stop. Thomas Lang, Mr. E as well. A lot of drivers have decided to ditch the mediums early and go for the hards.
Yes, and those hard runners must be loving life right now at the very top of the field. As, well, they are... Well, it's Tycho Hardy, Finn Geerts, or Tycho Hardy even, Finn Geerts, and Mike at the moment just staying in range. And Gabor Xontos with a 4-second gap between himself and Jensen Rosen. It's just... I think they're going to be able to close that gap soon as Gabor dives into the pit lane. And, yeah, they are pretty happy at the moment where they sit. Lucas Putainen picking up a 3-second time penalty. He won't be happy at all. 50 seconds off the rest of the field, and he needs a safety car to revive his race. But of course, don't forget that there's points available for many of the drivers this evening as well, Larry Tulke makes his way past Ray Imtiaz. And yeah, Lucas, why is he retired? He didn't retire last lap, which was fair play on him, but he's retired again.
Yeah, but it's going to ruin his teammate's pit stop. That is really, really bad. Lucas Putainen hasn't communicated with his teammates. Simon Lukinski gets a delay. That is disastrous there as he tried to fight for the win. That might have cost him DRS potentially. It was only a little bit of a hold-up, but it might just be enough to completely ruin it for him. There is Tony Hietala behind him, and just ahead of Jensen Rosen still is the McLaren, but I believe the gap has become a little bit too big, and that is a nightmare scenario there, as Gabor Xontos is still leading. Tico Hardy is arresting him from behind, and I'm sure the Sauber is gonna get past real soon. He's a little bit too far away to make the move right now. Damien Carril on his old medium tires is still keeping up, which is an impressive feat on its own. We can see there the McLaren of Lucas Petainen disappearing. Finn Geerts is retired in the pit lane as well. I'm surprised by how many drivers are retiring for one reason or another. I'm starting to feel that Lucas Petainen might have actually had a puncture somehow.
I mean, he was able to get going, whatever it was, again, for the rest of the lap. So I don't really understand what the problem was there. He fixed that front wing. He was back out on the circuit. I cannot understand that for a single second from Lucas Petainen, unless he had made a mistake on that second lap as well. But yeah, we are a third of the way through this race. Xontos and Curiel continuing on those medium compound tyres, but surely it's only a matter of time as Thomas Lamminen sets the fastest lap of the race on a set of 2-lap-old hards. Something that's been interesting to note on this game cycle is how much 1 or 2 laps on a set of tyres really affects the drivers. And so this could be a very good move from Xontos and Curiel as Tico Hardy makes his way up to the lead of the race.
Yes, indeed, and they've decided to extend their stint on the medium tyres, which indeed I think is a smart move. I've just seen in the Discord that Petainen's force feedback has died, and he's blaming his wheel for that, which is a big shame. He's hoping he can fix it for next week, but that does explain why he retired from the race. We'll have to figure out what Finn Geerts' reason was. I think Adam gave up because he couldn't keep up without the racing line, and we might not see him again here in X1, to be fair. Tico Hardy has nearly shaken off Gabor and Damien out of DRS range. They just barely hang on, and it looks like Damien Carril's decided to bail out on lap 12 at the end of it, as he goes into the pit lane right there to ditch the mediums, go for the hards. Mike GR still going strong there on his 12-lap old hard tires. And I can see, let's find out where Damien Carril comes out. He's dropping a lot now because of those few extra laps out there. Anton Chebotarov might even get past there, and as he drops down to P12, his teammate Mr. E is also coming into turn 1 right there, and it looks like Damien Carril has indeed lost a lot of time. And another retirement of Thomas Lang also going into the pit lane. I have never ever seen the likes of this.
This is just stupid, but well, anyway, we just got to let the drivers continue on, and the 13 that are left continue racing. Thomas Lang saying his setup was undrivable. Well, there's only one person you can blame for that, and he has a problem with that one as well. And Finn Geerts, still nothing heard from him. And well, Thomas Lang saying that he couldn't drive his setup. Lucas having FFB issues, and that is not a good start to the EXA season. But everybody else continuing on is fine, and we'll continue on now with well, Damien Curiel. He came in, but still no pit for Gabor Xontos, who stays out on the circuit, stays in that DRS of Tico Hardy for as long as he possibly can.
I'm seriously impressed by him, actually. He's not given up those medium tires yet. He's got enough pace to stay within DRS range. The rest has already ditched their tires. As we can see there, Simon Lukomsky, going for an overtake on Alexei Cavero. Side by side, they go through turn 3. Both Ferraris are still technically ahead of the McLaren. He's trying to split the both of them, but he can't pass just yet. Is he going to go for a dive in turn 4? He had a thought about it. He moved a little bit to the left side, trying to catch Alexei Cavero off guard, but it didn't work. Alexei held his ground, didn't flinch, and stays in P6 for the time being. Now, the next question is Gabor Xontos going to pit this lap then? Let's find out. He's still within DRS range, so I think he's still happy to continue, to be honest. And yes, he does. I think he's like, as long as I'm in DRS range of this man ahead on those hard tires, I'm perfectly fine with it. As Tony Hietala has already pitted, has nearly caught the two of them, as he is only 1.3 seconds away from the pair in the lead. We can see there Mike now also pitting on lap 14 on his hard tires, retires in the pit lane as well. I'm speechless.
Oh dear, well, there's 5 drivers out. There's 12 drivers left, so we'll focus on those 12 drivers that are left for the time being. Gabor Shontos still able to sit within range of Tycho Hardy, as well as the fact that Jensen Rosen has made his way past Alexei Cavero and may make his way past Simon Lukomski, or Cavero could come back at him down the inside. Indeed, he does. There's contact between Cavero and Lukomski, and, well, he comes out of it all right. No issues there, and there's no damage, most importantly, for Cavero, who stays in behind. But a very hairy moment for the Ferrari driver, and well, he's now in behind Lukomski as they filter their way through on what will be lap number 16. There's 12 drivers left in this race to come into the pits. Gabor Shontos and Tycho Hardy, who both dive in. Hardy must be going for a two-stop.
I mean, I'm sure he can't make those mediums last for 20 laps. I mean, Gabor Shontos came quite close. 5 more laps and he would have done it.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? I wonder if he can do it. I doubt he can. That would be quite impressive. But now he's going to go for those mediums. He's going to be far behind. And in fact, he's also going to be behind Gabor Shontos. So he's had a bad pit stop somehow. Gabor has come out ahead of the Dutchman in the Sauber right there. And that is bad news for the man who tried to make a last to first challenge work. So far, the other two trying to do the same thing are Larry Tulki and Ray Imtiaz. Now all of them fighting for the lead of the race. Of course, Tony Hietala has been driving away quite comfortably. Thomas Lammers is trying to catch desperately, but he's got a 3-second time penalty to his name. Szymon Lukomski is now the actual driver, technically in second place at the moment. And the difference between Tony and Thomas's tires is 1 lap in the favor of Tony Hietala, actually. So despite going in 1 lap later, he's still quite clear of his fellow Finn right there in second place, who is now getting harassed by all the drivers currently behind in DRS range, all the way down to Larry Tulki in the Haas right there. Anton Chebotarov is 6 seconds behind, and then there's another 2 seconds to Damien Carril and Mr. E, the 2 Aston Martins, could potentially try and work together if Mr. E has the same pace as Damien has. And then, of course, there's the pair of Gabor Shontos and Tycho Hardy trying to claw their way to the front, but this staying out this long. I mean, Joseph, look at the gap between Gabor and Tony. They were fighting for the lead a few laps ago as Tycho gets past there coming into turn 3. That gap is massive.
It is, and well, that is not ideal for any of the drivers who have been caught up in that one. By the way, the retirement from Finn Geerts is as a result of... You said there was a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. It was a 10-second penalty.
Oh.
It was because Damien Curiel was on the inside line, I believe fighting with somebody, and Finn Geerts tried to go around the outside line, went off of the circuit to get through, got an illegal overtake, got a 10-second time penalty, and rage quit. So that's not a valid reason for retiring in any sense of the word. And so that means that Finn is out of the session, and he's not giving his best. He's not giving off his best impression, I think it's fair to say, towards anybody in the chat. As well, he's trying to argue that he wouldn't have been able to remove it, despite the owner of the actual league itself saying he could. But anyway, that's not my argument to have. We have still some drivers fighting out on circuit. Lukomski leading a scrap of Laminen, Rosen, Cavero, Imtiaz, and Tulki. That's for P2.
Indeed. We're looking at the gap from the leader to the pair. Oh my! Tycho Hardy clashes into Mr. E, and Mr. E pushes the Sauber off the track. And that is terrible, terrible news. Mr. E was absolutely not having that move. Or maybe Mr. E himself went a little bit too deep into the corner, so Tycho couldn't get past. And now our esports drivers are going to have to try all over again. Once again, on the back of Mr. E. Of course, we get points, I believe, all the way down to P15, even in X1. And Tycho Hardy's going to try to get past in turn 9. Can he get past Mr. E? He's not giving up whatsoever. Both of them go off again. That is really bad news, as Tycho Hardy lets Mr. E know he really doesn't appreciate what he's doing right there. The Aston Martin is desperate to stay ahead. Once again, it looks like Tycho has no choice but to let him through, or is he? No, he's just defending the inside line, not allowing Mr. E to have a shot at getting past, but he's gonna have DRS right there as his teammate Damien Carril gets past Anton Chebotarov. Mr. E with DRS right there gets past Tycho Hardy once again, but Tycho's gonna have the inside line. Mr. E just crashes into the side of the Sauber. I think the FIA is going to have a field day with this Aston Martin. And at least Mr. E can now say in the chat, as you say, Joseph, I fought Tycho Hardy, but it definitely wasn't in the clean way.
No, I thought Tycho Hardy and I won would be... I mean, technically he didn't actually win, he just drove into the side of him, but not the point. And, well, now Tycho Hardy is through and potentially not very happy with that one, as he tries now to close the gap to Gabo Shontos, as he's now at a massive disadvantage in comparison to where he would have been before, and he's got a lot more to think about in this race. In the kick, Sauber 5 seconds behind Gabo Shontos, who is another 2.6 seconds off of Chabotarov, and Curiel, who is another 6.9 seconds off of Larry Tulke, who heads through the hairpin, and they look pretty happy at the moment in those positions. And well, we have Tony Hietala looking the happiest of all, 5 seconds up the road.
Yeah, he's having an easy time tonight, isn't he? He's got no threats from behind, there's nothing ahead of him, there's only 12 drivers remaining. One of the fastest drivers is far behind at the moment due to a big fight with Mr. E right there. And the rest of the field, well, the middle group, they're all still within DRS range, but even with the towing to each other they can try and do, they just can't catch. In fact, Tony Hietala is only running away from all of them. There's still a gap of 5 seconds between P1 and P2. They can still technically see him up the road on the main straight. We can see there 2 drivers come in for their second pit stop. They're going to try and attempt the undercut then on Tony Hietala. It's the only option they've got to swap tires early, and I wonder if they've picked the harder option of tires and the tire option choice, and as they have. They've gone for another set of hard tires. Normally in this game, if you go for the balanced choice, you get 2 sets of mediums, 1 set of hards for the race, but they've gone for the harder option. I think that might be the wise choice. There's still 15 laps to go, and that is how long they've got to make these hard tires last. I think it's a wise option for them indeed, as now they've got to go for the end until the end of the race. Reis Imtiaz and Larry Tulke are going to try and undercut on the race leader, and of course trying to shake off this group of now 4 drivers remaining, with Szymon Lukomski, Thomas Lemon, Jensen Rosen, Alexei Cavero, with Damien Carril about 8 seconds behind, with Anton Chebatarov in tow.
Yes, Anton Chabotarov not doing badly, the X2 champion, racing in X1, and he will get a decent chunk of points in P7, as into the pits comes Alexei Cavero and Anton Chabotarov. As we speak about him, he's into the pit lane, and we shall see what he's able to switch onto. Cavero goes for a set of the heart. Is Anton going to do the same thing as he comes in to switch? Is it going to be a set of the hard compound tyres? Of course it is, and he's going to go to the end of the race now, you would imagine, as Imtiaz and Tulke have done the same thing. And well, we shall see what everyone else is able to do. Tycho Hardy surely has to come into the pits again. Gabo Shontos, he's an interesting one. I think he's going to try and go all the way.
Yeah, I mean, he's done really well in the mediums. I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to try on the hards as well. They're now 6 laps old. There's about 14 and a half laps to go, sorry. And I wouldn't be surprised if he can actually make the distance in his Haas right there. And that would benefit him, I hope, for his sake. Tycho Hardy has now got his teammate in tow. Reis Imtiaz on fresh hard tires. I wonder what the Sauber pair is going to do. Both of them are the full-time drivers in this team, so we might see them swap around sooner or later. Tycho Hardy letting Reis Imtiaz pass, as Tony Hietala, Thomas Lemon and Jensen Rosen come in for their pit stops, and that is making me wonder where the previous pit stop people like Reis Imtiaz and Larry Tulke are going to be compared to them. We can see there Gabor Shontos getting past. There comes Tycho Hardy with Reis Imtiaz in tow. He doesn't defend it from his teammate, which I think is the wise choice. Reis Imtiaz gets past, but the gap is still quite sizable indeed. Reis Imtiaz now has got that 4.5 seconds gap to Gabor Shontos, who's now all over the tail of Tony Hietala. So the gap has shrunk, well, I'd say by about a second or second and a half maybe over the last 2 laps, in which Tony Hietala carried on and they went for the fresh hard tires. Now, leader of the race, Szymon Lukomski, Damien Carril 10.5 seconds behind. I think Szymon is going to come in quite soon as well. Oh, we've got a yellow flag. Oh, 2 Ferraris have come together! Somehow the Ferraris have clashed. Thomas Laminen is still not moving. He's spinning around in turn 4. That's absolute disaster. More drivers spinning out of the contention, and the drivers who have a chance at winning the race are getting fewer and fewer every single lap as Simon Lukomski comes in. That is insane. Have they clashed? I think they did.
I think there was a couple of times last season as well where the two Ferraris came together. So it's not surprising to see it again. And, well, Thomas Laminen will be the loser in that scenario. And he's actually going to come into... He's going to retire, isn't he? Because he's on brand new hard. Yep, he's going to retire. He tried to crash into the pit wall. That's Thomas Laminen out of the race. And, well, that rule cannot... Well, I personally cannot wait for that rule to come into play where they cannot retire from the race. Insane fighting, by the way, going on for that P4. Race Imtiaz, Larry Tulki and Simon Lukomski. Lukomski who goes off the circuit to try and get through on the cars ahead. He can't quite do so. And so he tries to take to the outside line through the next corner on Race Imtiaz and cannot quite do so. So Lukomski sitting in behind, but that is a huge scare for Lukomski. And, well, he actually did tap the wall, I think, as he took all of that grass. But, yeah, he has to sit in behind for the time being. That was momentarily crazy fighting as Tony Hitalo on a brand new set of hards makes his way past Damien Curel on an old set.
It's quite incredible. The fighting is getting quite hard. Despite there only being 11 drivers remaining, the race is still every bit as exciting as a race with 20 drivers in it. We're well past the halfway point. We're actually reaching the final bit of this race. Some drivers still have to go for the second pit stop. I think some of them are going to try and stay until the very end of it on their second set of tires. Like you said, Gabor Xantos might be one of them. I don't think Damien Carril is going to last the distance, nor do I think Tycho Hardy is going to make it on those 9-lap-old medium tires. He's already getting chased down by Alexei Cavero on fresh hard tires. We can see there Anton Chebotarov and Mr. E having a battle. Mr. E trying to dive on the inside in turn 3, nearly touches the Mercedes right there, but Anton Chebotarov managed to stay out of the way as Mr. E tries to get on the power, loses control nearly of the car right there. Tony Hitala still the sole leader. Damien Carril now on his old tires was close, but no longer. Gabor Xantos is closing in quickly, and he's also been closing the gap to Tony. Or sorry, actually he was close to Tony Hitala a few laps ago, of course. So his gap is only extending right now, which means Tony Hitala is still very, very safe indeed. He's got 1 lap fresher tires than Larry Tulki and Ray Zimches in behind. And Simon Lukomski wants to get past the Sauber. He's going to have another opportunity in the next time he approaches turn 3. Jensen Rosen is approaching fast as well. Here they go again. Fight. Well, this is round number 3, I believe, between the both of them. Simon Lukomski, what's he gonna do in turn 3? Is he gonna make the move there or wait for turn 4? As Race Inches wants to have some DRS from Larry Tulki. He does manage to do so. His rear wing will open right there. Simon Lukomski, will he have the attempt then into turn 4? The gap is less than 0.2 of a second. A dive or a little bit of a look? No, not yet, but he nearly goes into the gearbox of the Sauber right there. Was very, very close indeed. He's trying to force Race Imchias into a mistake, but so far unsuccessful. The defensive capabilities of Race are pretty much on point. Shimon cannot find a way past just yet.
He can't, and we shall see whether he's going to be able to find a way past in the 3 DRS zones on this circuit. Lukomski into the final corner, trying to get the run on Imtiaz on the exit. He has the DRS, he has the slipstream, he uses a bit of battery as well. He gets close, but is it going to be close enough? No, he doesn't want to go for that move in the first corner, and so he waits for the second one. And we shall see what he's going to be able to do as he heads up towards the hill and towards turn number 3, burning all of that battery to try and catch up, but he's not quite close enough, and Simon Lukomski has to wait just that little bit longer. Jensen Rosen waiting in the background as well.
Yeah, he had a bit of a poor exit out of turn 1, but he might find another opportunity right here. Simon Lukomski, no, still a little bit too far back. He's decided to be a bit more patient with Ray Zimches. He wants to see if Race gets out of DRS range of Larry Tulki, who's trying to get away from the Sauber right there. You can see just Simon is all over the back of Race at the moment. He's still trying to show that he's ready to take the position once Race makes a mistake. If he makes a mistake, of course, that is. We're on lap 27 at the moment. Damien Carrillo now has got Gabor Xantos all over him, and Gabor wants to get past as soon as he can, I think. because he wants to give those tires a bit of breathing room, but he still needs to get past the Aston Martin rather sooner than later, and I think the first opportunity will come into turn 3. His teammate is approaching fast. I think Gabor is not gonna fight his teammate too hard. He's in much fresher tires. Gabor's race is with somebody else. There he comes then into turn 3. Is it gonna happen right here? Yes, it is. Side by side they go into the corner. Damien does let him get past. No, he doesn't. He decides to fight back. Come out of the corner right there. Who's gonna have DRS? I think neither of them will actually have it. Or at least not from this camera angle. Yes, he does. Damien Curie does have DRS, but he does no longer have the grip to defend against Gabor Xantos, and he claims second place, but he's 7 seconds away from Tony Hietala. That gap is absolutely massive, and he's not going to be able to catch up, because the gap increases with every corner. The grip difference between 5-lap Old Hearts and 12-lap Old Hearts is quite massive indeed. Next Haas to get past the Aston Martin of Damien Carril is, of course, Larry Tulke's Haas right there. Damien Carril is still going around in circles. I think he might also try and last the distance on his old hard tires. And so far, it seems to benefit him just a little bit. There is Szymon Lukomski once again. He's so close every single time coming out of the final corner. Then in turn 1, he always got a bit of a worse exit than the Sauber. And he loses all the ground, but not this time. This time he's got a perfect opportunity. And that means Race is going to defend the inside ahead of them. Larry and Damien side by side as well. They are actually taking the fight into turn 3, and that means Race. Ah, there he is. Simon Lukomski on the inside in the corner. They bump wheels, front against rear, and now Simon might actually be past. He's got the inside line, but Race carries a bit more speed, so Simon's gonna have to dive into turn 4. They lock wheels once again, but this time, at long last, it is the McLaren who regains victory over the Sauber right there as he goes into P5. Next target then, Damien Carril immediately goes for it straight away. No pauses taken, no breaks whatsoever, and off he goes into the distance as Tycho Hardy retires on track. He's got enough of it already. Only 10 drivers remain, and these 10 drivers, at least a couple of them, are quite close in contention for second place at the moment, and it is getting quite hot, this battle.
Very much is. This could be an incredible end to what has been a very, very interesting race so far. Only 6 laps to go, and Imtiaz gets past Curiel and Rosen as they head up the hill. Tulke and Xantos side by side, and Szymon Lukomski trying to get himself involved in the battle for the podium as well. He gets through on Xantos and now tries to close down on Larry Tulke, and he's going to get the DRS as they head down the next straight, but he's not going to get the momentum, and so he has to stay behind Larry. Is it going to be a late lunge for Gabor Xantos? No, it's not, and they stay in formation. It's Tulke to Lukomski, Xantos, Imtiaz, Rosen, and then Damien Curiel. This pack are fighting so incredibly hard, and you get the feeling that we're only just beginning.
It's quite incredible, isn't it? There will soon only be 5 laps remaining. Tony Hietala is quite safe unless something terrible happens to him right there. Larry Tulke is now on the, I believe, the freshest tires of the whole lot. No, it's actually Szymon Lukomski who is on the freshest tires of all of them. He's got 2 lap fresher tires than Tony Hietala right there. But he's too far away to have any claim for victory right there. Lap 31 then out of 36. Szymon Lukomski is going to have another go. Ooh, drifts a little bit out of turn 1 right there, but he's still got DRS. The gap, though, increased to 6.5 tenths and reducing once again. Rey Imtiaz still wants to get past Gabor Xantos. He hasn't seen an opportunity just yet. Brakes a little bit later than the Haas does. Jensen Rosen, though, is a threat from behind as well. He's got fresher tires too, and it looks like Jensen Rosen might actually be the one to have a go on the Sauber on this lap, but he's still a bit too far away. Or is he going to go for a dive in turn 4? No. He decides to stay behind, perhaps get a better exit out of turn 4. Not yet, though. But look at how close the Williams and the Sauber are. They're fighting for P5. Jensen Rosen, though, does have a time penalty that is really not going to help him whatsoever for a potential podium right there. But he's gonna go and try it anyways, because they are racing drivers. Do not forget that. Damien Carril, in the meanwhile, his 18-lap old hard tires has dropped back quite significantly. His tires have given up pretty much. Gabor Xantos somehow keeps his tires alive. Larry Tulke, oh, that's terrible news there for the other Haas. Gets a 3-second time penalty to his main name, which now means that Szymon Lukomski is in second place.
Yes, Lukomski is in the lead of that group at the moment and of that fight for those positions, although Larry Torkey still holds the on-track lead in P2, and Lukomski won't mind that. He'll want to sit in that DRS and gain everything he can off of Larry Torkey off the back of that Haas, with Gabor Shontos, the Haas's teammate, chasing him down, and this is where he may well be trying to fight with this one. And he may well try to allow his teammate to he'll back him up into Gabor Shontos and yeah, open that gap up, or close that gap down, in fact, open the opportunity up for Gabor Shontos, and then Rhys Imtiaz and Jensen Rosen can try to follow through as well. We've only got 4 laps left here in Austria, and it feels as though this part isn't done. One thing that is decided, though, as Tony Hitala crosses over to lap 33, or almost decided, in fact, is that he's taken the victory.
Yeah, I doubt he's going to get a puncture out of 10 level hard tires. The fight for second place is all but decided, though. Larry Torkey, of course, does have that 3-second time penalty to his name, so it actually become a fight for third place that is going to be heating up soon, because second place at the moment is pretty much guaranteed for Szymon Lukomski. Gabor Shontos from behind is not going to be a threat. His tires are way too old for that. Rhys Imtiaz is still trying to get past. Still hasn't found a way through yet. Jensen Rosen still sitting in behind as well. We saw Damien Carril going for a fresh set of medium tires. His second pit stop has then been made. And I think it's safe to say, already some people in the chat saying the same thing. Tony absolutely nailed the strategy. 2 stops work out the best for him. And I think for everybody, unless you're named Gabor Shontos, in that case, the 1 pit stop strategy is quite feasible as well, I'd say. And that just shows how different this game is compared to last year's game. 2 stops have become a lot more common, not just around this track, but other tracks with high tire wear and fast corners as well. Say like Spa, for example. Qatar might be a potential 2-stop race too. And I believe Bahrain might be in the same boat. But we'll have to find out later down the line, as many drivers still discovering setups, discovering strategies, and things about how this game works compared to last year. One thing's for sure, and that is that a lot of drivers will have to adjust their driving style to not burn up their tires so fast.
Yeah, and discovering the strategies is certainly a point that can be made. Tycho Hardy coming into the Discord chat, into the X1 chat, and actually said, can somebody tell me it's a 2-stop next time? Which would be very helpful. Not sure why Damien Curie went on to a set of the mediums. Surely he would have made those softs last to the end, but I think he just wanted to be secure in that one, as he will come to the end of the race in P9 ahead of his teammate Mr. E in P10. But double points is double points, and they will be one of only 2 teams to be scoring them, the other one being the Haas team of Larry Torkey and Gabor Shontos, who are both in a very, very good position right now. And, well, it could get slightly worse for Larry Torkey as Lukomski tries to close down. He'll have 3 DRS zones to do it on lap 35 of 36.
Yep, 2 laps to go, but he's got that place already, even if he doesn't get past. Unless, of course, he's on 2 warnings himself and he wants to get past just to be safe, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to try it anyways. Gabor Shontos is still somehow hanging on to DRS, but now Rhys Imtiaz is really close to him. Same goes for Szymon Lukomski, who's probably going to have a go in turn 3 or in turn 4. Let's find out. No, he stays behind for the time being. Larry Torkey still ahead and then goes for the dive into turn 3. Side by side already. He's going to have that rear wing open. Then he's going to have the advantage on tires and speed now as well. And there he goes. Past he is. And as they go into turn 4, Szymon Lukomski can now try and go to drive away from the rest of the field. Rhys Imtiaz is still hanging on behind the other Haas of Gabor Shontos, but he's been harassing him quite a lot now for the last few laps, but he's only got 1 more lap to do so. And the first proper overtaking opportunity is, of course, going to be turn 3. Half a lap later, and that is on the final lap of the race. We can see here Tony Hitala cruising across the line for the final time then to start lap 36 of 36, and then he'll be the race winner of the first race of season 9 here in X1. Other drivers then still fighting for podium positions. Look at how close they all are. Gabor Shontos is no longer within DRS range. That might prove troublesome for him because Rhys Imtiaz decides to attack straight away. He will not have DRS though. Did he get across the DRS detection zone before that? No, he didn't, and that means Gabor Shontos is going to have DRS, and he's going to try and get P4 back from him. So he's going to have to go defensive. Will we see 3 wide in turn 3? No, we will not. And that means Rhys Imtiaz will get another opportunity. So does Jensen Rosen, despite his penalty. He's going to fight for it anyway. He nearly gets pushed onto the grass as they go 3 wide towards turn number 4. Who's going to come off bad? Technically, it should be Jensen Rosen, who has the faster tires, and he does actually actually stay ahead of both of them. Race Imches gets pushed a little bit wide, which allows the Gabriel Shuntos to still have a go despite his ancient tires, and somehow Race Imches hangs on to that position. Of course, his tires helping him massively, but we've got to switch our attention now to the leader right here, who's had a brilliant qualifying and wins the race as well in big fashion, and definitely sets a high bar for the other drivers as he wins the Austrian Grand Prix here in X1. Simo Lukomski will come out in second place, Larry Tolke with a penalty in third, Jensen Rosen in fourth, and that means Race Imches will actually take the final podium place. Larry Tolke will finish in fourth, Gabriel Shuntos in P5 on a one-stop strategy, which is seriously impressive. Jensen Rosen in P6, Alexi Covero finishes in 7th, Anton Chemotarov a distant P8, another distant P9 then for Davian Carulian, a very distant P10 for Mr. E, who held out all the way until the end, past all the retired cars, and will finish with a decent haul of points for himself.
Yes, good finishes from all the drivers, and Mr. E should be pretty happy with himself for keeping going, because that would have felt like an incredibly long race for him. But Tony Hitala winning on his debut in this race, and very well done for him, but a very good fight for that P2, and a well-spirited fight as well, and one that ended up with Simon Lukomski taking that P2, Race Imtiaz in that third place, Larry Tulke in fourth, and Gabriel Shuntos with just one stop making it work. Then Jensen Rosen P6, Alexi Cavero P7, Anton Chabotarov, Damien Curiel and Mr. E rounding out the top 10 and the points finishers with Tico Hardy, Thomas Laminen, Mike, Thomas Lang, Finn Geerts, Lucas Puttinen and Adam rounding out your drivers and your grid for the evening, with the fastest lap heading to Damien Curiel after pitting very late on in that race to avoid a puncture, something that Gabriel Shuntos was able to do. And I think the Hungarian would be my driver of the day, as that was a very good drive from him, although 15th to 3rd for Race Imtiaz and 17th to 4th for Larry Tulke. They deserve shout-outs as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Brilliant job by the both of them. It's quite extraordinary. Tony Hitala, though, he was quite dominant. Let's see if he remains this dominant through the rest of the season, because, of course, many full-time drivers were not present tonight, and I feel like a few of them, at least, can bring the fight to him. Tico Hardy being one of them. He wasn't aware this race was not a one-stop, although Gabriel Shuntos nearly made it work, as he said himself in the chat. He said he nearly made it work, but still P5 is quite impressive for a strategy that nearly worked. So good on him. I think it's safe to say that wraps up tonight's first race of the season. Let's show you the calendar for the remainder of the season, which of course is still a long way to go. We're only at round 1. Then next week, July 9th, my birthday, coincidentally, will be in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Then July 16th in Belgium, a break then after the third race, followed by Imola, Great Britain, Hungary and Bahrain. Another break then on August 27th, and then in September we head to Texas. It says August 10 there for Japan. Should, of course, be September. Vegas, round 10. Brazil in the 11th round. And the last round will be in Mexico. So, a lot of very interesting and fast tracks coming up. And I wonder how many of those are going to be one-stops or two-stops. It's going to be some head-scratching for some drivers, as they weren't sure about the strategy. So, a lot of research will have to be done later through the lines. But for now, though, Tony Hitala, your race winner. And Joseph, any last words from you?
Well, no, it's just a very good drive from Tony Hitala, and actually after the race as well, a mystery has been removed from his X1 role, but he's driven incredibly well in this race, and well, I think he can be pretty proud of himself for the performance that he's put up, and make sure to check him out when he races in X2 as well, because of course, don't forget, Wednesdays is not the only days we race. X1 is not the only tier we have, as well, this is the quote-unquote start of the season 9 week. Then it's X2 Tuesday, X3 Thursday. I say start of the week, it's just because it's the first one on the graphic is what I mean. Wednesday is when X1 is hosted. Then X3 will kick off tomorrow before we take a couple of days break. X5 will race on Sunday. Then back on Monday with X4, back on Tuesday with X2, and on Wednesday you can join Rob for X3 on a very happy birthday.
Thank you very much. So we'll see you by then. Same place, same time as per usual. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. We'll see you next week in Jeddah. Until then, goodbye.